Hey everyone, I'm Nate from TheRcSaylors, and if your Axial Wraith is making this noise, no good, then this video is for you. What we'll be doing in this video today is replacing the spur gear of the Axial Wraith. If you're anything like me and you use the Wraith the way it's really meant to be driven, then you will get hung up on a couple rocks or obstacles and you'll probably end up stripping your gear. I think I ended up stripping mine from doing a few driving maneuvers like this. Which I do not recommend doing. It's fun, but with plastic gears, you're just going to do the inevitable and strip them. So this video isn't going to be the best way to take the Wraith apart, but it is going to be here to help you. Use this video as a reference while taking your Wraith apart and as a reference to piece it back together, because sometimes instructions that it comes with just aren't enough to do it. So these are the tools you'll need to get this done. Your Wraith should come with any tool that you'll need to actually take it apart and put it back together. One last thing that you'll need, obviously, is your new spur gear. The one I've got here is a 48 DP 80 tooth spur gear. This is just an exact replica of the one that came in my vehicle. It is plastic. They do make metal ones, third-party companies that you can purchase. And there you have the Oreo gear, the Axial Wraith Spur gear. Okay, one of the first things that you need to unscrew on your Wraith are the 4 little bolts here on the bottom. There are 4 on each side, so we'll just save a little time here and I'll get these all unscrewed. What we want to do is drop the bottom out of the Wraith to make it easier to access. And as you can see, this is what it looks like removed. We're just going to take out the other 3 right here and then 4 on the other side. Okay, now I'm just getting the last screw out here, and that would be 8 total. Now we can drop the bottom out of your Wraith, and this will allow you to access the transmission, the motor, and everything that's just mounted right here. It's nice because that way you don't have to take all the side panels off, the details up top, and you know, here we go. It's just dropped out. Alright, now that we have the bottom dropped out of our Wraith, the next thing we need to do are remove the 3 screws holding this dust cap on. And they are that screw, that screw, and that screw. Oh. Once you have those undone, the cap should come right off. So I'll go ahead and get those unscrewed right now. Okay, now that all 3 screws are off, we're just going to very carefully pull the front cap, dust cap, off of the motor mount section here. Just get it going in the right direction and it should come right off. A little bit of, that's not dirt in there, that's actually chewed up plastic because my main gear got ripped up pretty bad. Remember, don't force your Wraith. If it doesn't really want to go, don't squeeze the trigger all the way unless you've got a better transmission setup in here. So you can see my main gear there is pretty torn up. Its teeth are chewed up pretty bad. And just being a beginner into the hobby, when I bought this Wraith, I didn't really know any better, and you know, it chewed it up pretty bad. Which, by the way, I did take the front right tire off of the Wraith because it made it a lot easier to access down here. Just get my hands in there. We're going to use the same tool that I used to take off the tire to take off the slipper clutch. It's really simple to do. You just make sure you're holding it so it doesn't rotate. Give it a little snug counterclockwise turn. This to come off first. Just hold on to that, set it off to the side. Then your spring. Next, you should have a little washer on there. Just carefully take that little washer off, as it will go on next when you're placing it back together. And now this won't come off until we loosen up these. There are 3 more screws we'll have to loosen up. They're right here. And when I do piece this back together, I'm going to want to wipe all that plastic shaving that got caught in there. I'm going to wipe that out before I piece it back together. So keep that in mind too. Okay, now that all 3 of the little screws here are off of the spur gear, and make sure you keep track of the little washers that are on each one of them. They're all removed off of my spur gear. We can take it off now. Very carefully, just comes right off, and you can see very clearly where my teeth of my gear got chewed up really badly. Now, if you were on a tight budget, you could probably run this the other way. I don't see a major difference in each of the 2 sides here, so I think you could run this the opposite direction because only one side is stripped. So I'm going to put in my new gear, but I'll save this one as a backup and we'll test it in the future. But you can see all the damage that has been done, and that's why it makes that awful noise. Okay, so on to the new one. Bye to the old and hello to the new. We just need to line this back up the same way the old one was on there. Now I know I just put this new gear on here, but I think I'm going to slide that back off because this will be a perfect time to clean up the little plastic shavings in there. So 1 second, I'm going to get a slightly damp paper towel. That should do the trick. Okay, now let's put our new spur gear back on here. Make sure everything lines up, and it looks like it lines up just fine. Now we just need to get our little screws and washers back on, and it'll hold that in place. Now with something like this, it's always a good idea to make sure you're tightening each one equally without getting too tight. Our next step is to make sure our slipper clutch goes back on. In the same order we had it, which was our washer, then the spring here, and finally the little nut here. We'll just kind of finger tighten that a little ways, and then we'll use our tool. Our multi-purpose tool here, a couple different sizes. I just want to tighten that down to what feels pretty good. Okay, so that's good. And our last step here, or close to the last step, is to put our dust cap back on. It'll just fit right back in, just the way we had it before. Helps to kind of put the bottom end in first, and then the top lines right up. Then all we have to do is put our 3 screws back in. I'll go ahead and do that and get right back to you guys. Now I had taken a tire off, so I'm just gonna reassemble that really quick here. Tires are really easy to get off of this vehicle. Nice and snug. And our last step is to raise the bottom back up, lining up. Just gotta raise the bottom back up here, line up the 4 screws that we took out from before on each side, all 8 of them. Once we do that, you are ready to go. You just want to make sure when you're driving your vehicle, you kind of test it, see if that slipper clutch is set at the right setting. If not, take it apart and set it back up, and just have fun bashing and crawling with your Wraith again. I'll get these screws, all 8 of these, back in, and then I'll get back to you guys. Alright everyone, that does it for the Axial Wraith Spur gear replacement video here. I just got all 4 of these lined up on both sides, and they are nice and secure. Now we're just going to give it a quick little test and make sure the gear wants to run. Throw the switch in here. And it looks like we're back in business. There you have it. The Axial Wraith Spur gear has been replaced. Now your Axial Wraith should be pieced back together with a nice new spur gear installed. If you haven't seen the Axial Wraith running videos that we have on the channel, then be sure to click a couple of the links here we've got running. Also, Swing by our channel and check out some unboxings and reviews if you're looking at getting a new RC vehicle. Thanks again everyone, we'll see you in the next video.